Good morning. Welcome to this week's Elliott Wave Forex and Cryptocurrency Market Analysis webinar. I hope you're all doing great, guys, and you had a wonderful week. There's been a few market moves there's been quite a number of good moves as well. So this week is actually going to be tricky in terms of technical analysis and especially Elliott wave theory, because normally when the market is in correction, you can now start predicting the end of correction. So there's been a few impulsive moves in the market and a lot of sideways movement. So which means when you get a situation like that, you are mostly going to be looking at the next immediate move to get the direction. So you'll see tonight we're going to do a lot of lower time frame structures. In terms of the higher degree, the direction is not as clear as we had it in the last couple of weeks. But even with that, we've got a specific strategy that if we are wrong about the direction, the forecasting direction, it can actually eliminate that alternative move. So that is why there's going to be a lot of focus on that. Unfortunately, I cannot show that specific strategy that we use here, the additional indicators that we use to give us direction. That is for the members in our group. So talking about our group, we are currently running our course. We just concluded the first week of the course. It's been growing amazing. The delegates appreciate and they've had their eyes opened in terms of the strategy. It's something really amazing. Even I actually enjoy these courses. So the next one is going to be on the 4th of March. Starts on the 4th of March till the 14th of March. So anybody interested in the course, send me an email for details. The details that you'll find on the email is the timing of the course content, and any other related information, how the group works and how the course works as well. So that is what you get on the email. That is a bit more detailed than what I tell you here, okay, including the price of the course. All right, so let's get started with tonight's analysis. First of all, if you're watching the videos and you're only interested in specific pairs, there are timestamps on each and every video that I do here. So what happens is if you are looking only for a specific pair, go to the description of the video. Under the description of the video, click on the Show More tab. You will find that all pairs that we discuss here are timestamped. So which means you can go straight to the analysis of the pair, each and every pair that we discuss here, because the webinar is going to be about an hour 20, hour 30 minutes long. So if you're not interested in all the pairs, you can just use the timestamps. See here, these two are not linked, but it's a quick fix that will fix that one. So that's just Bitcoin, but you can see that it's at 6 minutes. For the rest here, you can just click and it will take you there. So even after the webinar, I'll just fix this. It's a minor thing. So it works amazing. So you can also use this to track the accuracy of this analysis. You can go as far back as 2 years back, and unfortunately the timestamps, I only started them about a year back, so you can go as far as a year back and just keep clicking on one pair to see the accuracy of the analysis and the Elliott wave strategy. All right, so we've changed slightly in the new years in terms of the analysis. We're starting with Bitcoin as instead of the majors. We're going to start with the cryptocurrencies, and then we're going to go to the indices, and then we're going to start with the major pairs, that is the US dollar pairs, the DXY, and then we come to the yen pairs. We go to the pound pairs and the euro pairs and some of the cross pairs. Okay, so that's what we're going to cover tonight. Over 40 pairs that we cover here during this webinar. It's an overview. So for more detail, the detail is what we do in our group. So we use Slack for our group. And what you see here is an overview. As I always say, this is a front view of very detailed, front end of a very detailed analysis. So we also have daily webinars. As you can see here, we've got daily webinars from Mondays to Thursday, where we go into the details of the analysis that we go through here on Sundays. So what we do here is an overview, and then during the week, every single day for an hour. Also, we spend it going specifically into the entry points, stop loss areas, break even areas to move to break even, and look at specific probable trades. That's what we do in our group. So what we also have is each and every pair that I go through here during Sundays has got its own channel. That means everybody who's interested in a specific chair, you'll find them discussing that channel there, discussing that pair in that channel. And you'll find that I also have a special channel where I post what I deem to be high probable setup, whether it can be a forecast or a setup, but it's mostly specific trade setups in that channel. Okay, so that's how we work in the group. So you can get more detail there on the email if you're interested in joining us. All right, so let's get started. We're gonna look at Bitcoin. Right, so I'm just going to give you an overview of what we have been looking at since the analysis of Bitcoin, and it is playing out almost point for point as per analysis. So let's just go quickly to the higher time frame so we can recap and how we're looking at this. I'm doing this every single week because the cryptocurrencies are starting to be very interesting. All right, so this is what I'm expecting on Bitcoin in the next couple of sessions. In the next couple of sessions, so we're going to be expecting that we're going to have this move here and this move here, one last one before we go. I'm going to show why we're expecting that we're going to have a move like that. So currently we're getting that upside that we've forecasted. I'm going to go into the lower time frame and just show you what's going to happen here and what we expect. I don't expect that this is the move that is going to go. If it does go, then we're gonna have to relook at this, but it will not leave us behind because you can actually get a trade right now. So let's have a look at how this one has played out so far. So it made a pulsing move all the way up to the end of 2018, made a pullback. So after the pullback, I need to use different colors. Okay, so this is the move. This is the move that you had here. And now it started correcting from right the end of 2018 at about $20,000 per coin. Right, so that's Bitcoin pulls back, and then it pulls back again in the same degree, and it started making this corrective structure. So this corrective structure is a continuation of this, and this is how I'm looking at this corrective structure. I'm going to use a different color now. Right, so the different color I'm going to use is this one here. So it makes this three-wave structure. Why is this a three-wave structure? It's because it's a 1, it's a 2. That's the corrective structure in there, and we're looking for this one to come down here like this. So after this, we're going to be looking at this one. We're going to be looking at, let's just show you here. We're going to be looking at this move. So just remember, as I shown last week, this move that I'm drawing here, I'm expecting it to happen here. So here, this yellow move is the one that I'm drawing here, and we're supposed to have the rest of the move that goes something like this, and then that will be the end of the move. So I can just remove this. So this here is represented by this upside here. So I'm going to take it off for now, just for clarity, so you can see the structure there, and then I'm going to go into that lower time frame. Does not get any more detailed than that, right? So this is the move. So we just note that I'm forecasting a running flat here. There's nothing that stops this from coming up here and breaking the stop here, coming back down, and then goes. It will still be the same structure. It will just be a different type of correction. So that is the structure that you're going to look at. And if you are labeling this, this is a pullback in 3 waves, a complex P correction, X correction like that, and then you're going to be looking for 1, 2, 3. That is why I'm focusing the move to the downside for the last one before we go. So please just note, even if I've drawn this below 0 here, I'm not saying it's going to go below 0. It's just we're going to get as close as possible to 0. It looks like I drew it right on the 0 mark. So it looks good like that. Okay, so we don't expect that we're gonna get as close as possible to 0. Even if you're getting those impulsive moves that you got towards the end of the week, it doesn't mean that is the one that's going to go. For me, that is just a corrective structure. It's a continuation pattern for more downside, and then we're going to still have this move. So this is the number of waves that we expect to happen first before we get that move to the upside. Now let's go into this lower time frame. We're going to go to the 4-hour now. Looking at the 4-hour chart, looks very interesting. I've been showing this one since the beginning of the year. So let's take you through what happened through the year with this. So this is the structure that has happened since January. Since January, this is the structure that we had. Now, even before I show the lines on trading view, I'm going to show you with the annotation. So this is what we had when you opened this towards the end. So you can see here, this was December, ended up here. And then January, when we started the analysis, we had made this structure. I'll need to draw it in yellow. So this, make it a bit thick. So we had this move here. And then from there, we started making a pullback. So when we started in January, the first trading day, it was actually not the first trading day. I started doing the videos for the year on the 14th. So if you can see here, on the 14th, we had made this structure. We made this structure on the 14th, a 1, 2, 3 wave pullback. I said this is going to push to the downside. Right, the following week, we had this structure. Now this is the second week now. All right, we had this structure. And again, I said, okay, it's exactly the same structure. We're gonna have this dropping to the downside. Third week, we had again the same thing, structure. What did I say? The same thing, that we're getting a 1, 2, 3, we're gonna pull down. Now, last week, again, can you believe it? 4 times. Can understand 2 or 3 times, but 4 times, exactly the same thing happening. Said this is gonna drop to the downside. And I showed you these fractals last week. If you go watch the videos last week, I had done up to here, and then we had this one here forming exactly the same thing. So what we said here is, as soon as this breaks out of this, then that is when you are going to start getting this move to the upside, this one, which is the one that you currently have now. And you already have an impulse. It's not too late, and you just need to wait for a corrective structure for you to get into this trade. So it's not just about the trend lines. You can see these fractals. This is showing you a corrective structure here. Showing this corrective structure. Corrective structure. Now what you want here, you want this to give you a corrective structure. To come and at least break this previous top. Break it slightly. I should use a different color there to show the right degree. It will be this move. You want to enter so that you can get this move. So expect this to break here. We expect this to break this level here. Then it's a simple ABC move. ABC because of the structure, and it's not a WXY. This is a ABC structure. ABC move. So you expect this and then downside. So this is why I'm saying this whole structure is a continuation pattern. The whole structure is a continuation pattern like that. Okay. So corrective structure, we're going to look for it to come to the downside. So for now, the trend still looks a little bit to the upside. Break above this structure means this corrective structure is complete, and then we're going to go to the upside. That's how clear that is. So you can look for Bitcoin in the next couple of sessions to come and retest around the 4,300 level at least, if we get this corrective structure. So don't just go rushing and say you're entering because I said it's going to go to 4,300. You need to wait for a confirmation here. Right, let's go through the rest of the cryptocurrencies. I think it is crystal clear like that. That is Bitcoin, Litecoin. Litecoin, same thing. So we on Litecoin, also the same thing. We've been getting these corrective structures for the last couple of sessions. So we are looking for this structure to do something like this: 1, 2, 3. So here you could get one push higher before we drop. Same thing that we're expecting on Bitcoin, and then this will be a 3-wave structure before we get the drop that we're looking for. So Litecoin, interestingly, what is happening is that it is right at the reversal area that we forecasted for a while. You can see I've shown this blue box for the longest time. So, but it does not look like this is going to be the actual reversal area. Okay, oh, actually, we're actually very close to 0. So even if you're making a 3-wave structure, even if this is still gonna may still come back, it will come back here and then go like that. So you will expect to see divergence if it makes another low here. If you're getting a divergence, that will be a confirmation that you are ready to go. Okay, but for now, you're busy with this corrective structure. It is a corrective structure. All right, that's Litecoin and Ethereum. Ethereum, similar structure as Bitcoin. As you can see, you've also got a pulsing move. Let's go back to the 4-hour. I'm not going to show the rest, the higher degree structure. You can go to the previous video for the higher degree structure. Ethereum is doing exactly the same thing as well. As you can see that I've marked those fractal corrections. So we're looking for this one to at least make a structure like this. Possibly come and break here and make a 3-wave structure like that before we go. Okay, so it is crystal clear for now. You're looking for continuation to the upside on the cryptocurrencies. Okay, come and retest here as your first target. That's Ethereum, Ripple, inch perfect. Also, I indicated that if we get to this level, we may get a structure like this one here before we come down and then move to the upside. But I actually want it to come to this low here, not the first low here. So there is still a possibility, even though you've got 1, you've got 2 here. Get this one. Sorry, I need to make my pen a little bit smaller for clarity. And I'm going to show you the higher time frame for this and why we expect this structure. This structure here can do this. Can be a 3-wave pullback, come back to where we want it, and then go back and retrace that level at 80. Okay, come back down and then go. So you need to see this one in the higher time frame, why we'll expect that move. Show you on the daily. Ripple is very clear. Ripple is a very clear structure. Right, so this is what you're expecting. Same as the other cryptocurrencies, you had that move, and you have been correcting since 2018 January. Let's make it clear. I'm just gonna mark the correction. So this is your pulsing move here, and we have pullback, 1, 2, 3, correction, 1, 2, 3, correction, 1, 2. You're expecting a 3. That is why I'm expecting Ripple to go and retest at least the 0.8 level. At that level, so the lines that I show you, the focus that I showed you on the 4-hour, this is the line that I was talking about that you need to come down here first before we go. So we still have a move to the upside, a move down before we go. So that is what the sequence is showing us. All right, so that is why on Ripple, we're expecting a touch of this level will push this back, but that does not mean it's gonna go from there. It may still come down for 1 before it goes. You need to watch them carefully. For now, you can have short-term trades to the upside. If you're lucky, then it can go all the way from here, and then we're going to reevaluate the structure, and then you'll be in the trade because you've got a very nice entry point at that level. That's Ripple. Now we can look at the indices. So I have been showing this since last year, and this is the confidence that the Elliott wave theory gives you when you do your analysis. It does not matter how fast the move is going. You still need to stick to your forecast. So I have been looking at this as a corrective structure from the beginning of the year, doing that, even though I didn't expect it to break so low, but it does not violate the rules of an expanding flat. I was expecting a simple regular flat. It went slightly down, but the structure did not change at all. It just gave you a different type of structure. So we're still expecting this to push a little bit higher. Okay, so maybe I should just take an opportunity also to look at the comments that some of you make here on the video, because I don't get a chance to actually respond. I'm doing this because there's somebody who asked a question about S&P 500. So there's Arnold there just appreciating the videos, crypto anything, appreciating the video. Nothing will, okay, good call on Bitcoin, thank you. a retest might get us. There's just his comment on the chat. I want specifically a comment on S&P 500. Yeah, this is by Brian Smith. Very good call on S&P 500. Do you think it may pull back to 2,400 or 500? Okay, so that's what we're gonna need to look at. Let's have a look. And I don't know why you wanted to retest the 2,400, but let's have a look and look at the analysis. And lastly, just a question: if the WXY correction is supposed to be comprised of only 3 waves, then why do you at 44.38 count 5 waves and then label it as X? I'm not sure. Oh, okay, so I'll just have a look at this one. If I get a chance, I'll have a look at which specific chart is looking at. All right, so let's go back to the S&P 500. Brian was asking if we're gonna retest the 2,400. 2,400 is almost back here. So structurally, it will not make sense for this to come back and retest these lows here. Okay. If it's coming to retest this loads, then it's going to change the structure completely. As far as the sequence is concerned, if we're getting a pullback, it should be something a little bit shallow or something that goes back to about 50% and then push higher. Because we've gone up with an impulse, we may retrace, we may make a pullback correction to about 50%. Okay, 61%, and then push higher. But for it to go back here, then that will change the structure completely, right? Quickly, if I see that we've got time, I can respond to this one. Technical questions that are specific to the strategy, I may not answer them here because we don't have that kind of time. 44. This is CAD. Oh, so I think the comment was on this on this US dollar CAD here. You'll see as we do US dollar CAD that this is not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not a 5-wave impulse. Okay, it's not a 5-wave impulse. It's a 5. It's what we call an 11 swing sequence. And unfortunately, we cannot do that here during the webinar. So if your comment is on the Z on US dollar CAD, this Z specifically, this is not a 5-wave move. It is a 11 string sequence bow. All right, just like your comments to indicate that I've seen them. All right, great. So let's continue. If I remember, I'll just show you again that structure, that it is not a 5-wave sequence on US dollar CAD. Right, so we're expecting a push higher on S&P 500. Let's have a look in the lower time frame. It looks like we've made a passing move to the downside, maybe a bit of a pullback here. Let's have a look. So this does not mean that we're coming down, guys. You've seen this. It has pulled back before. It has pulled back before. Doesn't mean you're coming down. It's pulling back here now. It may do something like this, even do something like this, like a 3-wave, and then push higher. So whenever you get that, let's don't just immediately sell. Wait for a proper setup. As I said, most of the structures to this morning, we will need to refer to our specific strategy that eliminates the counts that do not play out. Right, for the rest of the indices, that is S&P 500 expecting a push higher. The NASDAQ is the same. A bit of a pullback there. So the difference between the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ is that the S&P 500 corrective structure starts from here, but there's no relationship structurally because the structure would have violated the rules. This is not an expanding flat. It cannot be. It has actually violated the rules. It's a different structure. So the NASDAQ structure, corrective structure, is only this one here, regular flat and a move to the downside. And after the corrective structure is pushing higher. So you've pulled back here, you may be getting a structure like this. You may even get something like this, go back, retest, come back here before you push higher. So when it is in correction and it's going sideways, you cannot really focus where the direction is going. So for now, I'm expecting a bit of a sideways move on the NASDAQ for the next couple of sessions because of this pullback. So let's wait and see what structure we get after this pullback here. Right. Got that pullback there, but it looks like it has reversed immediately after the pullback. So let's see. It may even do that before it goes. That is the NASDAQ, the Dow, similar. That was exactly the same structure as the S&P 500. Now this structure now is valid. It's a 1, 2, 3 expanding flat. For more detail, you can watch last week's video. I think I gave a little bit more detail on the S&P 500 and why I expected it to push higher even when the market seemed like it was crashing towards the end of last year, actually during the December month. So now we've got a pullback, expect a pullback, something like that, can do that, or it can just be a 3-wave pullback and it goes from there. So let's wait and see what structure we get there. Excuse me. So that is the Dow. The interesting thing with the indices is that some of the indices like the DAX, for example, or the Nikkei, for example, have dropped while the others were pushing higher in the last week. So we just need to see what structure is going to form from here, whether the S&P 500 pullback is going to be a little bit deeper as well. So you've got a pulsing move here. Let's see if this is going to be a corrective structure for one more down here before we get this one to push again to the upside. So again, you just need to wait for the next immediate move. The move that's going to happen here will give you direction. All right, so that is the DAX and the Nikkei as well. Same structure, pullback. So we've got a pulsing move, use a motive wave here with looking like it's got a leading diagonal, got a pulsing move to the downside. This could be a 3-wave pullback because this is a motive wave, it should be a pullback. Does not look like it's a reversal that will go all the way back. We still expect this to do this and move with the rest of the indices. Right, so that is Nikkei looking at the UK 100, that is the FTSE. It has gone up in an ABC move. Expect now a bit of a pullback in 3 waves. That may be a little bit deeper than normal, then maybe it needs to be a little bit deeper and be in the same degree as this. So we'll expect a bit of a sideways move. Even if it's a pullback, maybe a little bit deeper before we push back up again in 3 waves. Making this a 3-wave structure that may look something like this. Let's do this with a different color. Something like that, something like that. Okay. Right, so that's what we're going to be looking at. Not very clear for now. You need to wait for the next immediate move. As I said in the beginning, most of the structures tonight, there are a lot of impulsive moves. So when there's an impulse, you need to wait for the corrective structures to start. And when your corrective structure is starting from scratch, you need to be a little bit more patient and wait for it to build. Okay, so that is the UK 100 and what we expect there. Lastly, the Nifty. Nifty, 2 weeks back, forecasted this move. We then made this move, forecasted that we're going to have this one coming down here. This one is the move that came down, and then that this was going to come back up here because we were looking at this structure. We were looking for this structure to do this, which has played out inch perfect like that. But now we've got a bit of a pullback. So we expected this structure like that. So there is nothing that stops this from reversing at current levels. So the structure that you would have had there is this 3-wave moves to the upside. So I just need to make it in 3 waves. You've got that, and then you've got this running flat here in the middle. So that makes a 3-wave structure and another one. You see here, there's a green candle going up here. So that is another 3-wave structure. 1, 2, 3. So that one made a WXY move, WXY. So I thought that this was gonna push slightly higher before we drop. Okay, so before we come back down for at least a deeper pullback. So the pullback looks like has started. I'm not saying reversal, I'm saying a pullback. It may be deep, so it can also be traded. We've got a pulse, if you get a corrective structure, and we're on the 4-hour here. The corrective structure on the 1 hour, it may give you a trade like this. But then you need to see if you're not going to get 1, 2, 3 back up here to get this as a corrective structure, flat correction, or any other type of correction that Elliott researched in his theory. Okay, so that's what you're going to be looking at. Not very, not specific trade, but the structure is clear. That is the Nifty, and one of the stocks that I do for my Indian traders, I just have to keep track on it. That is the Sun Pharmaceutical stock in the Indian stock exchange. So last week we had this corrective structure. 2 weeks back we had this pullback. So last week we had a pulse to the upside and a correction. So after the correction, it's going to push to the upside. maybe there's still a one more move to the upside here. If this is going to go all the way, then that's going to be a very nice trade to be in here if you get a corrective structure here. But you should have entered when you got this corrective structure, this bigger one here in the beginning, because that's what we forecasted last week. So let's see if we're going to get back at least to the 61% of this move. Okay, look to get an entry point there if you didn't already do so. Right, so that is Sun Pharmaceutical Index. So we're going to look at the major pairs now. So let's look at Euro US dollar and the DXY. Today I'm going to start with the DXY, make a bit of a slight change so we can see the structure that we're looking at. DXY is looking a little bit more better in terms of structure than Euro US dollar. Okay, so let's show what we're looking at. On the 4 hours, so let me show the structure. The sequence here is that we're expecting that this move to the upside has ended with a wave 5 right at the top there. Okay, for more detail, you can watch the, you can just take a, if you're watching the video, you can just press pause and do the count, and that's what we expect. So I'm going to remove this for now. So what what we're still expecting, and that is what is going on right now. We're expecting a deeper pullback here, and that is what I've been expecting since this corrective structure started. Because this is a big move, it needs to be corrected with a bit of a deeper move. Okay, so that's why I focused that we're gonna have, even if we're gonna have a double XY move, a 3-wave move, it may not be just 3 waves because it'll be too small. So that's why I had focused that we're gonna have this one going even more sideways. Okay, so this is only, okay, so this one is not last week, it's actually recent when I was doing the analysis. This is actually the expectation now. Okay, let's go to that last piece there at the top, that corrective structure. So I'm expecting a bit of a push higher to make this ABC move. So this needs to complete wave 5 here of this structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We already have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And not like that, sorry. You already have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. A, B, C. So you've got an A, B, C structure here. So I'm expecting this to be a structure like this, push slightly higher, come back down again to this level. So for the next coming sessions, we'll expect a bit of a push higher before we start coming down. So that is the expectation. Why am I expecting that? If you look at the structure, what structure am I looking when I do that? Just to show you. So the reason why I'm expecting that structure is because we've got 3 waves down, 3 waves up, 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and then we're expecting the last move to the downside. That will make a WXY XZ correction for this wave B that we are looking at if we get this push to the downside. Okay, so is the dollar strength going to prevail this week? We expect it slightly to push slightly higher than this, but then drop again. But then we're going to have to look at divergence. If we get divergence, divergence will give you an indication. For now, it looks like you've got a setup. No, there isn't even a setup. Looks like it may push slightly higher. Even if the price pushes slightly higher, this may not make a new high. So you may get divergence there while this is making a new high there, and then we start that reversal that we're expecting. So you need to watch this one carefully and not rush into buying this the dollar for the next camping sessions, because it may get weak again based on this. So let's watch. The only way that this will now go higher than this is if you push higher than this and you start getting a corrective structure. But if you push higher, as you're expecting to complete the wave 5, and you get an impulse, you wait for this impulse and this correction to start riding back to the downside. Okay, so euro should be doing the opposite of what we're looking at there. So euro, beginning of the year, we expected it to, we got this move to the downside, we got this move down here. Expected this move, we got this move here, but I expected it to go slightly higher than that. It didn't, so that may just be a change of structure there. So let's have a look at what the structure may be. Does not change completely, same as the DXY. This is what we'll be expecting. This I've shown last week. This is a move. This and this are the same moves, and this is let's just show you here. Let me just check quickly. Sorry, not that here. It will be this one here. So in that case, you will have this complex B correction here. 1, 2, 3, right? So somebody may say this is too big compared to the other. It is not. That is exactly the same structure we got on pound CAD, and you saw how perfect that played out. So it is the same structure here. So now, if this is a 1, 2, 3 here, we may expect to get a 1, 2 to come and break this low here. And if that is the case, you're going to have 1, 2, 3 as an ABC move. ABC move, and then you're going to get another. This is going to be a bit too small to be an ABC move. It may be 1 in the lower degree. So after that, you'll expect a higher degree like this. Maybe come retest this low here and push higher again, because what we want is for this to be a bigger sideways structure, because similar to the DXY, this structure needs to be more sideways. So the difference between this one and the DXY is that this one is going sideways. As you've seen, the DXY is actually pulling back like this. We would expect this one to pull back like this to be opposite to the DXY, but it's just going sideways, which does not change anything. It is still a corrective structure. So the reason why we want it to be bigger, same as on the DXY, just show the higher degree structure, is because we've got this structure as well. We've got this move from right at the top like this, and we cannot have it being corrected by a small move like that. So we want it to be slightly more sideways. So even if this one comes like this, and it does something like that, comes back there, WX, retesting here, making another move like that, then it'll be quite a significant move and enough to maybe correct it. Even if it may still go sideways, it will still be okay. Okay, so that is what we expect. So which means DXY, Euro, we're still expecting sideways for the next coming sessions. So that's what makes it a little bit challenging to trade. So what for the next move here? For the next move, you want to get this corrective structure and look for it to come and retest this low, possibly. Okay, that's what you look for. All right, looking at the rest of the measures, pound, US dollar. So the pound pairs are a little bit tricky. Ali saying, can it be one of three? That was at 841. Which one of three, Ali? I don't understand the question. All right, so pound, we're expecting that it was going to make us a structure like this. 1, 2, 3. Now let's pull back here. Can pound be done with this running flat? Can it be done with the running flat? So unfortunately, I don't understand the question. If I have to wait there, it will run out of time here. So you can ask me the question towards the end. All right, so we've got a pulsing move. Can we get a corrective structure? Maybe a three-way pullback here for continuation to the downside. Let's have a look here in the lower time frame. We're on the 4-hour. We're on the 4-hour. You've had that pullback. You've got a pulsing move. Now you need to wait for this corrective structure here to start completing. So this may not be the one, it may not be the reversal, could just be a three-wave structure and make another pullback like that to the downside, because now the trend is down. So if you get a structure like this, you need to look for it to come down. Just because you've got a pulsing move for upside there does not mean that the pound has reversed. You need to wait for confirmation that this actually plays out and this is going to go. Okay, that is a pound US dollar. That's why it's going to be a bit tricky. There are no big moves forecasted as yet. US dollar CAD. US dollar CAD has been has made a bit of a corrective move. So let's have a look here. We're expecting a big move all the way to the downside. Okay, I was expecting a straight line move. We had 600 pips to the downside from that level as forecasted in the corrective structure, and then we got this move. But then now it has now retraced with this move. So there is something pretty interesting that could possibly happen here with the US dollar CAD, and that is a structure that we didn't look at. Maybe just to look at the question on the comments saying that I've labeled a Z on a 5-wave structure, there is absolutely no 5 waves impulse here. And the structure that you have there is an 11 string sequence like that. So that is why this is my Z. Okay, just responding to the question on the comment on the video. Okay, that was a good question. It is not a 5 waves impulse, it is an 11 string sequence like this. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's a 3 waves all around. Now, what could the structure possibly be here? Let's have a look here, back to the daily. And that structure will not change anything. It may just be giving you another opportunity if you had missed this move to get another entry again. So let's have a look what the structure could be. And if it is that, you've already made about 600, 700 pips move from this. If it is that structure that I think it may make, then there's another lovely move that could possibly happen. So this is the last set. It looks pretty like a, more like it looks small compared to the rest of the waves. So the possibilities that this could be the 3-wave move, or even do something like this, that will push a little bit higher. Now everything will then move here, and then your Z becomes that move. There's that possibility. I'm not saying that is what it is going to happen now. We still need to wait for that confirmation. But if these start making a corrective structure, something like this, and then it starts showing signs of reversal, then it will be a very nice move to the upside. And then we're going to wait for it to reach that level again before we get that big move that I anticipated to happen here. Okay, so that is if this structure is going to change. So this does not change anything, because if you look at this, the structure will still be intact, and it will actually make more sense than what we initially forecasted, which is, what did we initially forecast? We had initially forecasted that we were going to have W, X, Y, X. This was our Z. So maybe this may not even be the Z. That was 5-wave structure. So our Z may be a 3-wave move like this. Okay, so possibly even drop slightly more before we go up like this, and this will be a perfect 11 string sequence, and then we'll expect this big move. Expect to break this top here and then go all the way down. So that will be a very nice move to the downside. Okay, so that is US dollar CAD. So maybe what I should do now, because US dollar CAD and oil are somewhat related, I must always do oil immediately after doing US dollar CAD. So let's do oil, and then we'll come back to the measures. So what is oil doing while US dollar CAD is doing that, while that is the focus on US dollar CAD? Because let's have a look at oil. Sometimes I forget to do oil. Where's my oil? Okay, Brent crude. Right, so Brent crude. So this is the structure, this is the corrective structure that we're currently having on Brent crude. It could be pulling back to make this structure, and when it is done, then you could be getting this move to the upside as well. So when you get this move to the upside, yeah, US dollar CAD should be looking to drop, because oil has made a 5-wave impulse, and we still said we're expecting a corrective structure. It could have been a corrective structure like this, or a sideways structure. Remember, there are 5 corrective structures in the Elliott wave theory. So it can be any of those. So this is a possible one. So while this is pulling back, right, while this is pulling back, US dollar CAD, this is the daily, just note, US dollar CAD could be making that last move to the upside to complete that Z. And then when that is done and we drop, then that move will be done. Okay, on US dollar CAD. So it's what to look out for is for this corrective structure here on oil. I'm going to retest here, and then move like this. So if we get this, then there will be continuation. Let's just bring US dollar CAD and oil as well. Let's bring them both on the same screen so we can compare clearly. Okay, so Brent crude on the left-hand side, US dollar CAD on the right-hand side. Right, so if we're expecting that this will pull back here, this is on the daily, expecting the pullback here, this may pull back here with this one here. Maybe even go lower. This one breaking here, making a bit of an expanding flat. This one pushes higher. So they should not make the same moves. So let's just look here. So if this is pulling back, you may get this one pushing slightly higher. A push higher than this, then this one starts reversing and continues to the downside. Okay. So let's just have a look here. So this is the corrective structure. If it corrects and pushes higher, then this may mean that this is also a corrective structure on US dollar CAD. So it may make this a corrective structure. 1, 2, 3. You get that push higher, you get that push lower. Okay. So if oil comes back then down, then expect US dollar CAD to go then and make that move. So this is actually a lot clearer. That is the structure. That is the corrective structure there. This push up, this push low. Remember, there's inverse correlation. You expect this one to come back before, and then this one to push higher. So this is a long-term focus, not enough information to actually predict that this is the actual move that will happen. But for now, we can clearly see that we're going to need to get a bit of a pullback and a push higher, bit of a pullback here as well before we push that with that wave to the upside. So if we push with this one, we'll expect it to be a three-wave move to give us the Z that we want. Okay. Right, so that's the structure that we're going to be looking at. Let's go back to one chart and move a little bit faster. We spend a bit more time on this. Pound, we already did. US dollar CHF looking very nice. Okay, US dollar CHF, expect that slight move. Remember, I expected that we're going to have a bit of a push higher on Euro, on the DXY, and a bit of a push lower on the Euro. So DXY goes with the US dollar CHF, so expect to retest maybe this level in the next coming session here if we get this corrective structure. That's US dollar CHF. AUD, we're still pulling back. We're still pulling back here. We've made this move to the upside. This is pulling back. I expected this to go. I actually even took a trade. We've got a setup here where we looked for this one to go. We only went a couple of pips up and came back. That's okay. We were going to expect for now a bigger corrective structure here. We're going to expect a bigger corrective structure for a pullback like this before we push higher. Okay. That's AUD US dollar. So expect a corrective structure here. Let's go for hour. So in the next coming session, you're still going to drop a little bit more because of this three-wave pullback. You're still going to drop a little bit more. And this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a pulsing move. So expect a corrective structure and another pulsing move before we get any kind of reaction there. New Zealand should be the same as well. Let's get New Zealand US dollar. In New Zealand, expect after this corrective structure, continuation. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well to the back, and then you're going to get a deeper corrective structure. For now, continuation to the downside. Right, US dollar ZAR. So US dollar ZAR, there's a relationship between US dollar ZAR and US dollar CAD. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. You may get a push higher here and a deeper corrective structure. So that's your move for the next coming session. Don't expect it to go all the way. Expect a corrective structure soon. So even if you're taking a trade here, expect a corrective structure soon. That's US dollar ZAR. Go to the yen pairs. Now yen pairs, if you look at pound AUD, you may think that it is reversing. And we've said that pound yen, I'm expecting it to go all the way up to 156. I'm still expecting the same. If you look at the daily, you'll see that this is by no means reversing. Sometimes you must look at a different perspective. Just look at the daily, you'll see that this is still very well looking to the upside, and our indicator is showing us that the trend is still intact. This is a three-wave pullback. If we're gonna get another one here, It's going to be something like this. It may do something like this and just gives you a deeper corrective structure. It does not mean reversal. And this is mostly where beginners or amateurs lose money, because it's going to be correcting. It goes up, it comes back, it goes back up, comes back down. You keep losing money here. You give up, and once you give up, then the structure keeps going in the direction that you knew that it was going to go in the first place, but you had lost money. You didn't take advantage of this. So wait and confirm these corrective structures. You need to understand the corrective structures. That's what we focus on the course. We spend the whole day doing corrective structures because it is very important. And the strategy to trade corrective structure. Because I mean, I always say the market trends only about 20 to 30% of the time, and the rest of the time, 80, 70% is in correction. So if you understand corrections more, then you understand the market more, right? So that is pound. You are only expecting this to correct and give you confirmation for upside. Let's go 4 hour again. Look at the 4 hour. Look at the 4 hour, you've got this passing move. You get this one looking like a correction here. May do that. Bit of a push higher. So don't be surprised if it pushes up higher and then it does this again. That will still just simply be making a double correction like that. That can go like that. Clear like that. Simple as that. Right, so that is what you'll expect on pound. So for now, you've got this structure that can do that. Small trades in the next couple of sessions, not much to look out for. Unless you get this, then you can look to take advantage of the down move here. Right, so US dollar yen. US dollar yen, we got this move. We expect this one now. There's a possibility that this is a corrective structure and we're gonna get a push to the upside as we expected last week. Okay, it could have come retested here and then went, but it looks like a corrective structure. Let's just confirm something here. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna go up. It's gonna go up. We've got a 3-wave move up, a 3-wave correction, and this 3-wave correction could be all that is required. And now we've made a pulse. We're making a corrective structure, and then we look for one more up. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky to expect this to just go in a straight line here, because you're very close to this level. It has actually been retested. It can make an expanding flat like this. So when you take this, you need to be careful, because it may be a short move that comes back again because of this possible structure that we can make here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, break, impulse, and then go. That will be a simple ABC expanding structure. So there's the ABC there. Then it goes. Okay. So you need to be careful when you look at that one. So the euro and the CHF, we're looking for them to pull back. Very nice structures on these two. So now if you look at this, somebody can look at this as a wedge. I drew these lines intentionally. This is not how I look at the structure. I'm not looking at this as a wedge. Okay, so what I'm looking at here, I'm looking at this. I'm gonna remove this. we don't look at the structure like this. So what we're looking at here is this pulsing move here that ended here with an orthodox top here, and we're starting a corrective structure, something like this. And this is a whole corrective structure that goes in 11 swing seconds, then you'll expect this one to come down. When we were here a couple of days back, I said if it starts coming down from here, I'm gonna look to buy at this area. Okay, so this one now you need not buy here at this level, because this may break slightly down if it's going to make an expanding flat before it goes to the upside. So you may want to wait for it to reverse and then get a trade to the upside, because now it will be a expanding flat. So it does not have to break there. It can reverse without breaking there, and the structure will just be a running flat. So it can just do this. It can reverse from here. Even this looks like a setup, confirmed setup for downside. How far down is this going to go? Is it going to go up to this level? But because there's a possibility of a running flat, this can do this and take you out immediately, even if you've got a setup. That's why the indicator that we use is very critical. If you're going to sell, you need to get all the confirmation. So you need to get all the confirmation for you to take the trade to the downside. But I'll be looking for these to reverse. That's euro, yen. We've looked at CHF yen, right? Have we? Yes, CHF yen is even more clearer. Look at this here. CHF yen, if you're going to drop in the next couple of sessions, expect this move into the blue box, and then we're going to expect reversal. It is making a clear three-wave structure to the downside, and the correction here at this level shows us that there's almost guarantee that this move is a short move that will come down into this level. It's about 50 pips, about 70 pips to this move, to this level, and then push higher from there. So here's the structure. Need confirmation for it to drop here. Okay. Very, very clear CHFJPY. Made a lot of money out of CHFJPY last year and even the beginning of this year. So it's always a nice trade, a nice pair to trade. That's CHF, Audi pullback here. Maybe a bit of a pullback here with the rest of the Audi pairs, so that the Audi is still looking to pull back. So a bit of a pullback here. If you get this corrective structure, wait for this here. Even this looks like it's going up, it is not really. It may just be making a three-wave pullback for one more to the downside. You notice how I'm drawing a short one and I'm not doing this. That's because I'm expecting this to simply make a three-wave pullback before we reverse. I'm not expecting an overall reversal. All right, so that is AUDJPY and New Zealand JPY also doing the same, more pullback or a little bit more sideways on this one. That will simply mean a three-wave pullback. This is still your motive wave. Okay, that is still your wave. It's actually a three-wave, 5 impulse, no, 3 waves all around. And this one here. Now, this is correcting the whole move. Could reverse at the 50 to 61%. So watch this. Fortunately, you need to have to watch and wait for this one to confirm. It's New Zealand. CADJPY also making this pullback, a pulse. Expect a three-wave pullback as well here. We need to see if this is not going to come down here and make a bigger corrective structure. The bigger the corrective structure, the more indication of upside here. So corrective structure here, wait for it to build in this area. As I said, it's going to be a lot of waiting in the next coming sessions. No big moves, as you can see. All right, that is CADJPY. Let's look at silver and gold now. Gold. So gold made this three-wave pullback. Still looking like it's going to push higher. There's a possibility that this structure here on gold, let's switch off here. The structure here on gold gives you another three-wave pullback here and gives you a bigger corrective structure. Okay, but if you needed to trade gold, you needed to have traded it when it made this corrective structure here. And so some of the traders in the group taking this short move to the downside here. Okay, so there was a short move to the downside. As you can see, the trend is still up, so you expect this to reverse at that level and then push higher. Okay, so if we are in here, you wait for another corrective structure and see if this one's gonna keep pushing higher. Okay, so a little bit tricky here because two things can happen. It can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, W, X, Y. Or this is actually the WXY here on this one that is complete and we are ready to start going back to retest this level. Maybe even come back here and go. Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. That's why I said the direction, you're gonna need to wait for the next immediate move for the next week. All right. So that is gold, silver should be similar. Get a three-wave pullback. 1, 2, 3, a pulsing move. It's not a pulsing move, it's a three-wave move up at this stage. If you get a corrective structure, silver will make continuation to the upside. But if the euro is anything to go by for gold and silver, remember we wanted the euro to go slightly lower. one more down before it goes to the upside again. So this may be pulling back here with the euro, and then when the euro starts going back up, then gold and silver will go with it. So this could be the supporting. Remember, euro, you want this move. Just show it quickly. You want this to break this one here and come down. So this is the structure that of silver that are left on here. You want it to do. You want it to pull back slightly before you push back up. Let's go back to silver structure. You want silver to pull back here to support that one slight move on euro down, because they're supposed to go together. They're supposed to go together. Euro down and then go up. Silver down and then up. They're supposed to go together with gold. But that depends on how they're correlated during that period. Okay, so that is silver and gold. Let's look at the pound pairs and the euro pairs now. Looking at the pound pairs, pound chief. Similar to US dollar pound US dollar. We've got a three-way move down here, a corrective move here. You're looking for another one. It looks like it has made a complete three-way move down. Or let's just show this one in degrees. Lower degree, 1, 2, 3. Lower degree, 1, 2, 3. It looks like this three-way move down may have completed, and this one may do this here. 1, 2, 3. Makes a corrective structure, and you get another one like that. So let's see how this goes, because this is not coming down impulsively. If it was coming down impulsively, this is the structure that would have been happening. Let's show this on the daily. Remember, we wanted it to come and retest here and then drop, but now it is coming down correctively. So this one may come back here. Make a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this side before it drops. The same way it made a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, and then we expect it to drop. Okay, so that's why we expect that move up and then down. That's a pound chief. So you need to wait for this corrective structure, what we are getting in here. A lot of sideways moves this week. That's pound chief, pound New Zealand. Pound New Zealand, we had a big pulsing move to the downside. We had a 1, we had a 2. This looks like it is now making a running flat. So also a corrective structure here that may push this one up here and make this a corrective structure before we come down. Remember, the trend is still down, and what we're looking at here is a corrective structure. Maybe pulling back in 3 waves. So that means you need to watch for this structure here. This structure here that is happening on the 4-hour. It's very premature. Most of the structures are premature. Wait for it to complete. So if you find yourself buying and be careful, you may find that this is just coming up here and then it drops. Okay. If it does not make you this structure. But this is a running flat. 1, 2, 3, and then down. Right, that's pound New Zealand, pound Audi. Pound Audi, we wanted it to break this level here. When it made this pulsing move here, we thought that this maybe would have made a running flat. It looks like it may even get to that level and make a 3-wave structure that will then come break here before we go. Then that will complete this 1, 2, 3-wave structure that we have been looking at. That will be a perfect structure for a big move to the downside. Let's show the daily, because pound Audi is one of the best looking in terms of structure and clarity. So if you look at this on the daily, this is what you'll expect. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll expect this one to be a 5. So now the question is how this is playing out here. You've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're looking at the lower degree, you have to go lower degree, then this will be, you'll have lower degrees, 3 waves in here, 3 waves, or 5 waves here, because this looks like an A, B, C. Okay, this one is an A, B, C move. A, B, C. A, B, C, A, B, C. This is W, X, Y here now. It's not A, B, C, W, X. No, sorry, it's also an A, B, C move. Looks like it's going in 5-way moves. A, B, C. I'm just making a lot of letters there. I'll show the structure just now. A, B, C. Now here is a W, X, Y. W, X, Y. Now, why am I doing that? I want to show you that there's a lower degree here which can go like this. 1, 2, 3 there, running flat, goes and breaks, which is what we want. Breaks the top there, and that is the big move that we'll be looking at. We thought it was going to happen here, but we could see that this was too small. And now, if it happens here, then that move will go all the way back to this level. Okay, so it's clear that if this keeps going here and retests the top here, we're coming down. Very clear Audi, pound Audi. You need to watch this one, especially when it comes to this level. At that level, you would have had you would have a perfect regular flat, and that will complete the Z and a big drop. Good trade to the downside, one that could pay out your account for the rest of the year. Pound CAD. So pound CAD. Now that's the structure that looked very complicated, and we uncomplicated it, and this is what it looks like. One here, 1, 2, 3, and we're expecting this to be a 1, a 2, and a 3. When it got here, we expected it to reverse. Now it looks like it is making another pulsing move to the upside. We need to see the structure that is going to make, because we thought that this was done and it was going to go. So now we just need to wait and see if this is going to make another move here and go retest here. If it retests, then we're going to evaluate and adjust the structure again. For now, this is nothing but a corrective structure. No trade there, no specific trade on pound CAD. Now, let's start with let's look at the euros. Looking at the euros, euro pound. So euro pound, the structure is still what we expected. Move down there, and let's just show that in the with the labeling. This one, we've got a 3-wave move down, a correction here, and we're expecting this to be a 3-wave move to the downside to complete the Y. Okay, are we going to come down here? It looks like if we come down here, that's confirming that the pound pairs are still going to continue with the upside to go retest those last levels. So this is daily. Let's go for hour. So for hour, looks like we're still going to drop some more. This corrective structure here, you have a pulsing move, you're getting another corrective structure. So this one looks like it's still going to drop more, especially with the euros coming down. Okay. Notice how I'm drawing this short, because there's a possibility that this does this before it does that. So our anticipated reversal is around that area. For now, you can get this short trade here and target only for just about 100 pips. About 100 pips initially. That's a small trade. That's clear. Right, so that's Euro Pound, Euro Audi. Euro Audi, and okay, so Euro Audi, we showed that 2 weeks back, we had this move. We showed that we're going to have a Z there. All right, so after the Z, we expected this move, which we got. Is that really the move now? Because it looks like this structure can be something different. If I remove this, if you look at the degrees, this is what is possible here on this pullback on the euro, on Euro Audi. You've got a 3-wave pullback. There's a possibility that this is now actually a 3-wave move. 1, 2, 3. And if that is the case, then you may get another move before we go up. Okay, so just keep an eye on this move. So if we get a corrective structure here, you may get that downside first before we go. Keep an eye on this one. For now, it is nowhere near showing any reversal. So as far as the strategy that we use, including that indicator, it's not showing us any confirmation at all. So leave that one for now and wait for that structure to play out at the end. So very, very difficult week coming up. So you may want to sit on your hands and wait for these structures to build rather than just lose money. Euro New Zealand, the same. Let's switch everything off. So Euro New Zealand, we've made a 3-wave pullback, a pulsing move. Are you going to get a corrective structure here for upside? So Euro New Zealand, because of the New Zealand weakness, may push slightly higher, and it is confirmed for upside. So look for New Zealand here, up. Right. That's Euro New Zealand, EUROCAD. EUROCAD is making this structure here. If this structure is coming with divergence, let's just have a look here. If you're coming with divergence, this has been making an uptrend since here. So as it was going down, the RSI has been making upside. So there's clear divergence here. So at some point, this V pattern, what we like to call a V pattern, is going to break to the upside. So now you're looking, looks like you're getting one down here, one down. So it's similar with the euro, similar with the euro US dollar. This may do this. This may give you a bit of a corrective structure here, down. And as it goes down, it makes the new low, and the indicator makes a new higher low. Then we'll expect this to go to the upside. So what is the structure that you're looking at here? So this is your what looks like a running flat in there, and the 3-wave move to the downside. So you got a 1, you got 2, you got 3. Okay, so this may be not complete, so it can do this, right? 1, 2, 3, and then go up. So which means this is going to be the whole string. 1, 2, 3 here. That needs to be in the lower degree. Let's make this in the lower degree. 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, so that will be the structure. Then here you've got this clear, you've got this reversal in there and a move there. So it is not forced, it's a clear 3 waves down, 3 waves pull back, 3 waves down. Okay, so that's the structure that you look for. So let's see if we're gonna get that divergence and then a push to the upside on EUROCAD. All right, a little bit tricky this week. CHFJPY, not CHFJPY, EUROCHF. So EUROCHF, we are looking for it to, we looked for this trade. Remember when we had this corrective structure here? It was actually before you even had the corrective structure that I said you're gonna get a move to the upside. I expected that move to go all the way to go and retest this level here. But it only went from here and up to here. So now it has reversed. So if you had entered here and you didn't take profit there, all your gains should have been given away. Okay, so that's okay. You win some, you lose some. So it was a nice one. You could have gone a couple of pips up. If you were aggressive, you would have let it come back. All right, so now what are we looking at here? It's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 3-wave move. Can this be the 3-wave move here that drops this? Now let's wait for this to give us a corrective structure. If you get a corrective structure below this structure, then that means you may be coming back to retest this level. See how clear the adjustments are and how we adjust when they don't play out exactly as you forecasted. So we wanted it to retest here, which it did not get to. It missed by a couple of pips. Now it has made a pulsing move. The structure is still clear. It's a 3-way move now, up, and then we're looking for downside. Very, very clear. So now US dollar chief, look for this to give you a corrective structure and come back and retest the low. Okay, let me draw this again. Just show the channel here of this structure, and that's the structure that we're looking at. Remember, I don't do trend lines, we do channels. So that's the channel. If this one gets out of this structure, that means that we are done with this and then we're gonna retest this level at least. Right, so that's EUROCHF. Should be all the euro pairs. Let's look at some of the cross pairs. AUDCAD. AUDCAD. You've got a pulsing move here. Could be up here. One down before we actually go. Why am I looking at that like that? It's gonna be 1, 2, 3 before we push higher. Okay, so you could be having that as a move, a corrective structure, and another move that will come back and break this level. Is this going to happen now from this level, or is it going to get a one more down? You need to take this when if it confirms a breakout here, because this one may be up to this level. Because if you look at this structure, it looks like it is matured and complete, so it can actually move from here. But it's not going to go and make a big move. So even if it makes that, because it has gone so deep, this could just be a 1, 2, 3, and then it makes this corrective structure for downside. Look for this structure. That's AUDCAD, Audi New Zealand. Audi New Zealand. We have been pulling back since the 2nd of January when we made these last capitulated moves. We made a move, a three-way move to the upside, and now this is what Audi New Zealand is doing. Correction there. Is it going to make another corrective structure here like this before we go up? So what we are looking at here is that this whole thing is a corrective structure. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This one could, there's a possibility that this can come back down here. That would change the structure slightly, which could be something like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, which can be counted as 1. And then we're going to expect this move. Now, we wanted it to go all the way from here, but it looks like because these structures are now so deep, they may not go, and they can just be making these three-wave moves. Drops before it goes. Okay, so let's keep an eye on this. Let's keep an eye on this structure. So this structure can be doing something like this. Let's get this off. Simple three-wave structure like that. But if it does that, then it's too deep for it to go. It will need to come back down before it goes. Right, that is Audi New Zealand, New Zealand CAD, New Zealand CAD. We're still pulling back after making that 5-wave moves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pulling back 3 waves, 3 waves. So New Zealand CAD could be still making continuation to the downside. Okay, so wait for the structure. No immediate moves on Monday. Wait for the structures to build. That's New Zealand CAD, New Zealand CHF. Also made a 5-wave move, pulled back. Is this the correction that we're getting now here? Are we going to get a corrective structure to make this move? So this looks like impulsive. This looks impulsive. So at some point, there needs to be a corrective structure. Okay, so we need to see when that corrective structure is going to come. So this is not clear at all. It's a 5-wave move up. It's a 5-wave move down. So at some point, this one needs to give us a clear corrective structure. Okay, remember on a corrective structure, if it's an ABC move, just for example, simple example, ABC, this is an impulse, this is an impulse. Even this B, when you look at the B, this is an A, this is a B, this is a C. So A has an impulse and C is an impulse. So similar here, you've got an impulsive structure here, but the difference is when you've got an impulse here and an impulse here, it gives you a different structure. That's where you expect a complex B correction. But for now, in terms of structure, expect continuation to the downside. And a bit of a correct, and a bit of a sideways move here. This looks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to get a deeper one. So don't rush to sell a structure like this after a small move like this. You need to get a deeper corrective structure. New Zealand CHF, AUDCHF. Pulsing move to the upside. Now we're pulling back. Are we going to get a corrective structure? Wait for this one. So even this one, if this one gives you a corrective structure, it may do this. which it will be a corrective structure. So not very clear, not very clear. There's too many alternatives, but they all can be disqualified by the indicator that we use. Okay, watch those structures. That's AUDCHF and then CADCHF. Lastly, that's the last one that we're going to look at. That's CADCHF. Also, 5-wave move up. We are busy with this corrective structure. Pullback, pulse, and now we're correcting with this move. Wait for the corrective structures to form in that area. All right, guys, that's all I had for you this week. Good luck in the next week. Remember, you need to, being on the side is also a position, so you don't need to rush into this. Wait for the structures to build, wait for clear directions, wait for confirmations, clear setups, then enter, then lose money. All right, have a great week and good luck. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button. Thank you for attending. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Timestamps will be available as soon as the video is edited. Thank you. Have a great week. Cheers.